Be ready in just a few seconds. Okay.
Okay, Brad, thank you. Our last presenter this morning is Elizabeth Lowell. Elizabeth lives in Marion and attends Linn-Mar High School. She's the daughter of Helen and Keith Lowell. The title of her project is Cooking Up Success.
Hello everyone, good morning. I just want to take a moment to give a huge thanks to the Cookbook Presidential Foundation. They're the reason why I'm here. They allowed me to embark on this amazing journey where I formed so many relationships and just learned so many lessons. So essentially my project is this cookbook that I was able to create with the help of the community this summer.
Oh, hit the F5 button.
So the purpose of my project was to encourage students to pursue a healthy eating lifestyle through cooking over the summer during the pandemic. And this was an issue that was very close to home because over the school year, I would see these students who were on reduced cost lunches. And over the summer, they lacked that food security, which means that now they depend on pantry foods. And although that there is a multitude of resources for pantry foods available, pantry foods often lack nutrition. So I was fortunate enough to have a skill of cooking that my mom had passed on to me, as I grew up. And this just spurred me to create this project because it empowered me to know how to cook and to be able to make my meals that had the nutrition that I wanted. In addition to this, poor nutrition leads to several costly diseases, including obesity, heart disease, and some cancers. And as you can see on this chart right here, or this graph, when these kids are high schoolers and they become adults, that percentage of obesity increases because now, they don't have their parents looking over them. They don't have those cooking skills. So, just the percentage in these health ailments increases. And then childhood obesity is also very costly because it's projected to cost $14 billion per year in health expenses in the U.S. And also, in addition to this, obesity increases your risk of like a multitude of health issues, which includes hypertension, diabetes, stroke, and other health issues. So although all these statistics are relative to across America as well as my hometown, Iowa, I wanted to ensure that the issue was actually in my community. So in order to do this, I spoke to nurses in my community, Marion and Linn-Mar School District, and from there I determined that food insecurity and inadequate nutrition during summertime really is an issue. So my goal became to raise $1,800 to produce 300 cookbooks and purchase 300 aprons. And then the benefit of being able to encourage students in my community to learn cooking was that it would reduce future health issues. So my original plan was to hold cooking classes, and to do this, I'm going to invite local restaurant owners, chefs, and dietitians and nurses within the community to act as a role model for these students and volunteer as guest speakers. And I would serve about 20 to 30 children. However, because of the pandemic, I had to come up with a new plan, and that included designing the cookbook with simple, healthy recipes for local restaurants and myself, and along with activity pages and nutritional advice. And I would produce and distribute these cookbooks along with aprons through partnerships with local nonprofit organizations catering to youth in the community who were in need. So the difference between my old plan and my new plan is that it's 10 times the impact. So I set my goal to about 300 cookbooks, and then originally I wanted to impact 30 children, but now that's 10 times the impact. So in addition to this, children are different learners. So whether it's reading recipes or watching a video, I just wanted to have another opportunity for children to learn in a way that was most conducive to them. So as you can see here, this is my project timeline, and it contains many details about the things that I had to accomplish each month. So if you'd like to look at that, I'll just clarify that Feeding Lunches to Youth is a program. It's a nonprofit organization within my area that distributes about 15,000 lunches over the summer across 12 locations. So I wanted to partner up with them to identify these children who were in need. And then along with this, I also wanted to visit the distribution sites. So that included visiting them, engaging the need. How many books did these areas need? So some of the obstacles I encountered a multitude of them, but these were the three main ones that made me stumble. So the pandemic. So I had to adapt quickly with a new plan. And then the derecho, as you all have been impacted in some way. My project was very impacted because my community was, the derecho hit the heart of my community, you know? And then that caused my distribution to be delayed by 3 weeks. And because I couldn't produce the books because there was no power. And most of all, it just wasn't the right occasion. You know, there were kids who, you know, they were trying to find their shelter. They were trying to find food. It wasn't the right time to introduce to them that they need to find, you know, they need to pursue healthy nutrition. And then most of all, lack of funding. So my new plan required me to get more funding because for my original plan, all I required was just volunteers and their time. But now I needed money. So then I was hesitant to ask for monetary donations from struggling businesses because of the pandemic. So because of that, by mid-June, I only had $150 pledged. So then I decided to contact local media, KWW and KCRG, to raise awareness and gain support for my project. So as you can see, on July 22nd, this was the first news feature, and then KCRG followed, and that is my GoFundMe page that I wanted to set up. So this is my cumulative donation per day. I kept track of all the donations coming in. So on July 22nd, which is when KWWL had my news feature, you can see onward, the donations immediately shot up. So this was really effective in just bringing awareness to my project. And IPR and my local newspaper, the Gazette, did an article about my project. So I created a project budget just to ensure that all the money was going to the right places. So in total, my funds amounted to about $3,000, and my expenses were about $1,700. So my balance to start my long-term goal is about $1,200. So I had enough funding to create 400 cookbooks and aprons. I could have, you know, created more, but I just didn't want to overproduce at that time to set kind of a limit for myself. So in designing the actual cookbook, this was very tedious because every single picture from front to back was created. So you know, I would have to, you know, set the props up and, you know, take pictures of them. And then also the process of, you know, the cookbook contents, it included, you know, having the healthy detailed recipes, having instructions, you know, easy for kids to follow along because the recipes, they just, kids want to have easy directions to follow in order to make it the most impactful for them. And I also included the sponsors' logos just to ensure that, you know, I was helping out these businesses at the same time since they were struggling. And then for the printing, and then just the apron, it consists of a lot of contacting and negotiation. You know, finding the best bargains, you know, to save the most money, to make, to impact the most kids. So eventually I got a 50% deal on printing, and I got a bargain on $1 per apron. So this was just contacting like so many print companies in my area and apron production. So I hope that this doesn't make you too hungry. I know it's getting close to lunch, but here are some pictures. So it just took a lot of time. It was very tedious and it was overwhelming, but over time, I really enjoyed doing this. It was creating food, being able to take a picture and say, you know, I made this, you know. It was so empowering and satisfying. So over time, although it was difficult, I really loved doing it. So up here I have some cookbooks. If you would like to take a look, I have my author's note written in it, and it offers a lot of insight to my project and just the works I had to do to, you know, get it to where it is right now. So there are activity pages and nutrition education, and all these are taken from the USDA for the activity pages. So this is just an example. So it has very easy to follow ingredients, tabled ingredients, and then just very simple directions. So the other aspect of my project was the video demonstrations. So in this, in order to get videos out to the public, in each book I had inserted a bookmark with a link to the videos. And besides that, there was also the issue of safety. You know, kids were using knives, they were using an oven, they were using blenders. So on here, it just lays it out very clearly that, you know, it's important for them to ask their parents before diving into cooking. So as you can see here, this is a chart of, this is a map of just the distribution of cookbooks and also demonstrating the impact. So I partner with 4 organizations to span across 14 locations to distribute 345 cookbooks and aprons. So this just gives you an idea of, you know, what areas were hit throughout Linn County or impacted.
And the numbers beside the school, or the number of books or whatever that you...
That's correct. And in these 3 ones, they all amount to 78. The individual, the number for them was not accounted for. So throughout my project, one of the more noteworthy occurrences I had happen to me was this quote from the Marion Youth Coalition. They told me, we also like these recipes because most of them are stuff we can make without our parents home when we are hungry. And this was a defining point for me in my project. You know, I was getting constantly knocked down, and having this within my project was just really important. So feedback and impact to the community. A survey, basically it brought attention to the issue and it shed light to the struggles of the businesses. And also a survey was done, and overall it was a resounding yes that it did have a positive impact. So my relevance to Herbert Hoover. So he was known as a great humanitarian because he had 10 million people during World War I, because Belgium was starving due to the German invasion. He had to find money to buy food, form an organization for distribution, and ensure that the money was properly accounted for. And these are all aspects of my project that I had to do as well. So my 2021 plan is to form a committee, and then their goals depend on the pandemic. So the pandemic has improved whole cooking classes using the cookbook as a curriculum. Plan B is to distribute cookbooks to a wider area and to raise more funds by selling the cookbooks. And my long-term plan is getting a long-term sponsor to distribute books across Iowa, and then creating a digital cookbook to promote through schools and libraries. So reflections, one major theme in looking back at this is building relationships within the community, because I got to contact all these businesses, the community, the media, and most of all the Herbert Hoover Foundation. It's where I met my awesome mentor, Teresa. So I learned the struggles of it, and I built relationships, and it was just really important for me to reflect on that in the end. So most of all, I learned leadership, and I learned persistence, and I learned gratitude. Being able to know that this was just not my book. It was the community's book. It was the businesses, the donors who contributed to it, and being able to unite everyone in a cause, I believe. So Herbert Hoover once said, civilization marches forward on the feet of healthy children. I want to carry on his legacy. My project just doesn't end here. It's not, my ultimate goal is not the $1,800 or creating a set amount of cookbooks. Rather, it's continuing my plan into the future. Hopefully, I can, encourage these students to pursue a healthy eating lifestyle. Hopefully, I can, bring them the importance of healthy eating, so as to, prevent health issues from happening in the future. And hopefully, this will lead to a stronger, healthier generation that will be able to lead our community together. Thank you for your time.
That's quite an impressive newspaper article there. Is that whole page about what you're doing?
Yeah. About a month.
Oh yeah.
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yes, correct. So this is after KCRG and KWL were able to broadcast my cause. The Gazette contacted me and talked to me about doing a story on me, fortunately, because it raised more awareness to my cause. And it was like a lengthy article that people were able to read into the details and into the different aspects of my project that are shown through a short news feature.
I just wanted to tell you, I saw it in the Muscatine paper as well. So by doing that, probably several papers had it.
Who did the photography?
So that was mainly me. So I had to create all the food and make sure that there was proper lighting. And then I was able to borrow my brother's camera, and then I took pictures from there. And then for filming the video demonstrations, my brother Dan, I cannot thank him enough. He helped me so much in being able to guide me how to use the camera, because it was definitely a challenge at first.
I like the different fun things to do.
Thank you. So for each of the recipes in there, if they were given by a restaurant to me, they had their logo in it just to be able to help them out in advertising them through this difficult time, because they were also helping me in this project. But the ones that don't have logos are ones that my mother over there created with me and I. So huge shout out to her.
You mentioned you're trying to work with Hy-Vee, and they do have dietitians and so on in the larger stores.
Yeah,
Did that work out? Are you going?
Yeah.
You might say be working for them, or are they going to be supporting their efforts?
Yeah. So currently, Hy-Vee has a program called Kids Fit. And then that is the whole program that emphasizes healthy eating, fit kids. So I'm in contact with a lady through there, and also just the Kids Fit organization. So they told me that they're considering my plan, and then they bring it to kind of like their meetings, and then we'll kind of work something out. But if that plan doesn't work, I've always learned in this process to have a plan B, plan C, And then I'm also contacting SNAP Education, which is a federal program. And then if Hy-Vee doesn't work, I'll just go to them, and we'll go from there. But thank you for the
What
question.
is your career goal?
My career goal? So I would see myself here in 10 years, just being able to use whatever profession I have and whatever resources I have to just better the community, because I have so many things that that really bother me in the community, whether it's kids that don't have enough money to take their standardized tests, or they don't have enough money to afford healthy meals. So wherever I see myself in 10 years is being able to have whatever resources I have to benefit just my community in general.
Are you familiar with, there used to be a teacher in every high school that I ever knew of when I was growing up. That was home economics.
That would be me.
She was.
Got one right here.
All right. And so, like a lot of public institutions, for some reason, it's not making money, well, throw it out the window or something. Check out home economics. I would tell you that it was a movement that was part of the country life movement, the turn of the 20th century, to try and make people more independent. They could take care of themselves, which to me is probably the main characteristic of Herbert Hoover.
Yeah, actually, the interesting thing is that, in the beginning, I went to all the nurses in my school, and then, I asked them, is there a problem? And, one of them actually explained, absolutely, definitely, in FCS, they don't teach actual cooking skills. So this was specific to my district, because they would teach us how to make, like cinnamon bread, or cinnamon rolls. So that wasn't the most, healthy, thing there. So I think another aspect of my project, if I want to expand this, which I do want to, is to, reach into more of those classes, because, that's a way to, introduce healthy eating to them, and, kind of shift their perspective to, healthy basic cooking. So knowing the nutrition that, the eggs that you eat in the morning carry, knowing what vegetables are good for you, I think that's something that I would like to encourage, teachers in FCS to maybe teach the children, focusing in that sense.
As you head in that direction, it's going to be involving yourself in the public arena. Are you 18?
I am not 18, I am still 16.
All right, good.
Any more questions? Well, Elizabeth, very nice presentation.